I got a
bad
cast
mix.
iron stomach, man. I haven't been sick in I don't. Why am I sick? I don't want to jinx myself. Sorry. No.
That's Mina. That's our song. Go.
So I just want to say, I just shared the link on Twitter. And does Pablo have a new avatar? And follow-up question, is it a bathroom mirror selfie?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you throw it up?
I understand that Mina is just like flying through Twitter like Neo in the Matrix and doesn't really see everything. It's not that new. It was like last week.
New.
And secondly, where are you supposed to take a selfie? Where are you supposed to do it? It's not a wee-wee.
Is that your bathroom?
It's a selfie, although I guess it's technically a wee-wee because it's in the bathroom. But it is a selfie, and that is a really well-lit restaurant bathroom, which I apologize for.
Puberty, don't say wee-wee. Just like once you are over the age of like 14, like even around that age, wee-wee is a bad go-to. Like it just doesn't project well for you. I'm just saying.
That's a good pee-pee, Domonique.
I'm done with this. Can we talk about football? I want to keep Mina on the show for as long as possible. I don't want her to walk off and protest like she wants to do every week because Pablo can't control himself. Football.
Great selfie for the record.
Give us a question.
All right, guys.
Domonique, Mina.
All right, guys. We got lots of football to talk about. Wildcard weekend. And our first question.
Do
you think Bill Belichick and the Pats can outfox the Bills and upset them tomorrow?
I mean, yes, right? I know that like we're in a place where like the trajectory of the Patriots season has found us in a place where Bill Belichick has, never been the road team in a wild card game where Mac Jones is saying that he played super embarrassing against the Dolphins. But if you're telling me that this cannot happen, I would call you a fool. That is my football expertise.
Okay, well, call me a fool. I mean, I guess saying that it's impossible is actually foolish. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I think it's very, very unlikely because the premise of anyone who's arguing that the Patriots can win is a couple things. That Bill Belichick is going to be able, his defense is going to be able to stop Josh Allen. They haven't really done that. They're 0-3 against Josh Allen. He has 8 touchdowns and 1 interception. The one win they had against Josh Allen in the last 4 times they played, Josh Allen was playing in a windstorm and still managed to throw the ball well enough to cut through the air and get in the red zone a number of times. So, I don't see this changing. The other argument that people make is but it's cold and Josh Allen is worse in the cold. Yeah, so is Mac Jones. Josh Allen has shown the ability to succeed in the cold. So if your argument is that the worst quarterback, who is also worse in cold, is somehow going to be better than the better quarterback, who's better than him in the cold, the quarterback that they had a lot of trouble with. It just doesn't seem to pan out on a defense that's not playing as well as it did at the start of the season. I don't see it happening.
I think the Bills are going to win, but I do think, Domonique, the weather makes it a little bit closer. You're right in that it affects both quarterbacks, but the Patriots would rather play a bad weather game because I think if this was perfect weather in a normal, stadium and everything was fine, Josh Allen would dominate them. And we saw when they played in Foxborough, which was decent weather, he had an incredible game. And even though I thought the Patriots defense played pretty well, there was really nothing they could do to stop him. This, to me, at least throws a slight wrench into the Bills' offensive plans. They have leaned more on the run over the last few weeks. It is still not their strength. I expect to see a lot of Josh Allen using his legs and that to create problems for New England. I just think it makes it a little bit closer and it tilts things a little bit in Bill Belichick and the defense's favor, which is not surprising because he controls the weather. He has controlled the weather ever since he came into the NFL. I don't know. Wake up, sheeple. It's very obvious.
Mina, do you want to share your unpopular take about how Buffalo?
Yes, I mean this is all a Trojan horse to get Mina to explain her viral Twitter thread, which took over sports and possibly the world. So, what is your take, Mina, that you actually believe it?
I just saw ESPN Stats and Info were sharing all the stats about how Josh Allen has struggled in freezing temperatures, completion percentage 50%, 40th out of 41 quarterbacks last 15 years. Only Tebow's worse. Small sample size. I think it's only been 5 games before this. So and like Domonique said, other quarterbacks also struggle in cold weather and have to play him, blah, blah, blah. However, I just threw out the notion that if the Bills built a dome, Josh Allen would throw for 800 yards every game. I just build the dome, and it would be a more pleasurable experience for everyone involved. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, see, Dominique, my response to that, I mean, that's a very elaborate solution to that problem. My take, which is a little goofy that I actually do believe in, though, on that same theme, is like,
cares.
No, you should be able to
I
play
care about Mina's take.
in the NFL while wearing a jacket. Why can't you wear a coat on the field?
I
Why
tried to
not?
save
Like
you.
those,
I
like
tried
those
to
giant
save you.
coats they wear on
Yes!
the sidelines?
I tried
You
to
got
save
coats
you.
on the sideline. What's with the anti-layer agenda in sports in
Dear-
general? You see that video of that kid playing basketball with a jacket on? And he was
Dear
awesome.
viewers, I tried to save you. Somehow Mina's entertaining this foolishness.
No, if there's anyone I'd like to see
numbers
try
on
to
the
throw
back if
with
you
one of
want.
those gigantic jackets, it's Josh Allen. I also, the jackets remind me, like in college, the swim team used to have those enormous
Yes.
coats, and I'd be so jealous of them when they would,
Sleeping
walk to the
bags.
pool at 6 a.m. as I was in my dorm room cozy. But I also, whenever I see quarterbacks wearing them on the sidelines and it's cold, I think about how if I was an NFL quarterback and I was coming back for a fourth quarter comeback, I would throw it off triumphantly. The gigantic coats just like
Yes.
come out and
We
like
had,
Superman.
We had sweaters
Anyways.
That's a
in,
great
in
team.
Denver.
Mina is.
We had sweaters
Wait.
in Denver. That's pretty
That's-
great.
Wait,
So,
you
like,
had
we were-
like sideline only sweaters.
No, they were
Yes.
practice sweaters. So it was like jerseys made into sweaters.
So,
they
it's
weren't,
already
like-
being experimented upon at the practice level. But you're telling me
I mean,
the
I feel
actual
like
games
that's
don't
like-
deserve the sweaters.
I feel like that's the jersey is a more modern invention. I feel like when I see like old
Yeah, they're always wearing
football,
sweaters.
they're
yes,
wearing sweaters
yes.
with numbers on them.
Okay.
So I think that it's more of a throwback.
Well,
to-
Thank you.
speaking of
you. You said
players
wear
being
jackets.
warm, Matt Judon has been
Layers.
wearing these baggy sleeves all year, and Domonique, he hasn't been playing super well lately. I think that's a big concern of mine about the Patriots coming into this, is like the pass rush has really waned down the stretch, especially relative to early in the season. I do think Christian Barmore is likely to play in this game. He was the best player on defense, or the best pass rusher, at least in the last matchup. How important do you think it is that the Patriots are able to get pressure with 4 in this game? And along those lines, like, would you take the same defensive approach they took last game, which was playing a lot of man coverage, which is what they usually do, or would you change it up,
Yeah,
given
I
that
think-
like Isaiah McKenzie absolutely toasted them in
Yeah,
round 2?
I think the solution is to mix it up. Like in my view, the way that they are going to beat them, because the fact of the matter is Josh Allen has all the tools. Like
Yes.
there's nothing, when you talk about Bill Belichick taking something away from a team, you can't take away everything from Josh Allen because he has the ability to do it all. And if he knows what coverage you're in, or he knows what defense you're playing, if you major in man coverage, he's going to find somebody and pick on them, and it's going to work. If you major in zone coverage, he's going to use his arm to rip through those zones. You want to protect the middle field, he can go outside. Like, he can do all the things that need to be done. But if he does not know what's happening, that's a different story. So Belichick's teams notoriously, not infamously, nope, not that either. Historically on defense, his teams are built around like not particular stars as much as they're built around a lot of like competent, trustworthy, like older type veterans, mid-priced veterans, in part because it allows them the flexibility to do a number of things on defense. So like that's their strength, and that's what they should do if they want to stop them.
So it seems pretty clear that Dominique did not major in English. Can we say that?
I
maybe
majored in
maybe a
football,
minor.
obviously. No,
Yeah,
I didn't.
yeah.
I didn't go to class. Too fast for that. You think
Wait.
So,
Alabaster, too fast with that card, though, Mina, for a second here, because he put down this card about how Mac Jones has
Yeah,
6
that's-
touchdowns and 6 turnovers in the last 4 games. How worried are you about where we are with Mac Jones heading into his first postseason ever?
So I'm fairly worried because on the other side of the ball, like we were just talking about how the Patriots might change up their game plan a little bit from round 2, which when I watched this earlier in the week, my takeaway was the Bills should do exactly the same thing they did against Mac Jones in this defense, in the Patriots offense, which is what other defenses around the league did down the stretch. You saw Miami, I think, take a similar approach in week 18. They've got players who are capable of that. Take away the run, so you stack the box, take away Mac Jones' check down options, and force him to throw against man coverage outside the numbers. It's a pretty simple formula, and it's something that he has struggled with at times in the second half of the season, especially near the end. I'm curious to see. I feel like there's less pressure on the Bills, who should just, do the same thing. And there's more pressure on Josh McDaniels to come up with some man-beating concepts and find ways to counter that, because I would be surprised if they deviate from what worked. Domonique, do you disagree? I mean, you're kind of furrowed brow.
I do not disagree. I think you're absolutely right. My furrowed brow was the idea that they are going to have to rely on Mac Jones in this situation, like to make big plays. And the way that the NFL has trended because of rule changes and also analytics, it's trended more to a pass-happy league. There's a few teams that are having success with a run-centric offense. I guess the 49ers are one of them. The Patriots are one of them. The Eagles are another one of them. None of those guys or none of those teams are like real Super Bowl favorites. They all fall squarely in the dark horse category, in part because you can only imagine a couple different ways they can win. Whereas a team like a team with a great quarterback, you can see a bunch of different ways that they can get it done. And I think that's the problem for the Patriots is at some point in one of these rounds, probably in the first round, your quarterback's going to have to cook. Like, he's just going to have to do it.
Yeah.
He's going to have to do something special. It's just the way it is. And I don't think he can.
I do want to say, I think this is about more than Mac Jones. Like, this is not saying, okay, now they're never going to win a Super Bowl and they're never going to advance past the first round. It's about the whole offense. Like, they don't have wide receivers who can beat man coverage. I mean, how many times, Dominique and Pablo, have we watched
Thank you. Love to be included in a
Julian
football
Edelman on a little rub route get open, and then get like 6 yards after the catch? They don't have that guy on the team right now. So I think they'll be able to come up with some solutions in the offseason. Guys who are twitchier underneath, can stretch the field. I just don't think they're on the roster at the moment.
By the way, the reason why those guys seem to be on other rosters and not the Patriots roster, because we are seemingly at an all-time high in terms of those twitchy slot guys, the Julian Edelman sort of tree. Like,
just say what you mean. Just say what you mean.
Somebody who's really gritty, real coach's sons, very detail-oriented.
Can you put up a picture of Hunter Renfrow as Pablo continues?
Nice
Alabaster for the podcast audience is just wildly gesturing in the
Dude,
way
Hunter
that
Renfrow is so good.
Yeah.
I am, and I'm not. I hope we're as a football fan base, society, analyst community, we are past the point of being surprised by how good he is, because he has been good now for quite some time. But holy crap, that dude is an amazing.
Who is he like?
runner.
Who do you compare him to? Because in my mind, I'm comparing him to all the other guys that I just shaded by categorizing them exclusively by race.
Deion Branch.
I'm trying so desperately to think of a cross-racial comp right now, and my brain is just rejecting all of them.
I dare you.
Oh gosh.
Calvin Johnson.
Oh, nice. Dante Hall. Without the punt return, work in the slot, quick.
Yeah.
You remember when we met Hunter Renfrow, like at Clemson? Do you remember that? And it was like,
you guys, when you're doing the
no, not actually literally met Hunter Renfrow. Like when he was introduced to the world. I feel like the reaction that football fans are having to Hunter Renfrow in the NFL is a lot like the reaction we had to Hunter Renfrow in college. He's like, whoa, crafty, interesting. When really all you wanted to say was like, hey guys, he's white.
I think you know that he's at a point now where when a DB gets smoked, like on a whip route or something, there's no shame. Like, I think maybe at the beginning, like a year and a half ago, you would look at that DB and said, "Ooh, you do not want to go back to that locker room. You're going to get roasted." Now it is. I think probably every corner in the NFL at this point, that's an exaggeration, has been smoked by Hunter Renfrow at some point.
I mean, that's a real thing. I do
I'm
much
glad
remember
the verb went from whip to smoke on that one, just for historical reasons.
Smoke routes.
Oh man, I have nothing to say now. I was just gonna say that Mina's right. I remember being a DB in the NFL, and you ain't want to give up nothing to a white guy because you was gonna hear it. It was gonna be. He certainly wasn't gonna catch a deep route on you. You was gonna get it in film next day.
But now, post-racial America Alabaster has arrived.
Exactly. Yep. Because those white corners are out there shutting down those white corners. Anybody know one?
There's
Jason
one.
Sehorn.
I'm still going Jason Sehorn.
No, there's
yeah,
one.
sorry.
There's one. There's one.
Oh,
I forget what team he's on.
oh, no,
Maybe
he's
the
not
Jets.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
my man's on the Chiefs is not a corner, right? He's
No.
Sorensen?
And he is not a good
Yeah.
example for
yeah.
the ability of
Yeah.
some.
I didn't say it was
this
going
is
to be
getting
a good
into
example.
He's a coach
dangerous
on the
territory.
field.
Do we got another game to talk about?
Probably.
Yeah, we got a few more games. And by the way, for the
Wildcard
podcast
Weekend.
audience, I was trying to say with my wild gestures that Hunter Renfrow looks like my thumb. Anyway, moving on.
Fair point.
Who do you trust more, the Cowboys or 49ers?
Finally, we got a hand rub Birdman meme out of Mina. You guys love this weekend. Like, the energy level, I'm going to be honest here, has not been up to snuff, right?
Right.
Like, you guys love this weekend more than the Super Bowl, allegedly, right? Like, this is it.
No.
This is it.
Resting.
This is the
No.
weekend.
Conference championship weekend is the best weekend.
Two big monster games.
There's still some bad teams this time.
Okay, so are the Cowboys or 49ers any of the bad teams that you mentioned?
No, this game freaking rocks. Domonique, how you feeling about your guy?
I feel great. Like
I hear the water already sloshing. Yep, there it is.
Throw it up.
Oh man, this is ridiculous.
For the
I
podcast
feel
audience,
great.
Domonique has been photoshopped pushing a cart full of giant jugs
I'm not
of Dak
sure
Prescott water.
why my head is on Hunter Renfrow's body, though. That is very confusing to me for the podcast audience, Pablo. But I mean, I think that the fact of the matter is, and this has probably been said a bunch of times this week, is that the 49ers are a bad matchup for everybody. Like, nobody in the NFL really would be excited if they got the 49ers in the first round, because the 49ers have a front four that can rush the passer, which apparently is one of the more important things in the modern NFL. And they have an offense that is different than most offenses, in that they attack you in a way physically that most successful teams just don't do. Like, we talk about the teams in the league that have a chance, that we believe have a chance to win the Super Bowl. These are not the smash mouth teams who are beating you with hard running of the outside edges and play action crossers. That's what the 49ers are doing. And it could be dangerous, obviously, because the Cowboys defense is not great, but they have great players. And most of those great players are good at rushing a passer who is going to do a traditional drop back in the pocket. And that's not really what Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers major in.
Yeah, I think this is a bad matchup for the Cowboys defense. It's a bad matchup, as Domonique said, for most defenses because of how unique they are. But it really the Niners play away from Dallas's strengths, which is getting after the quarterback. Ideally on like 3rd and long, which the Niners can avoid getting into because their early down offense is so good. And then takeaways, but a lot of those takeaways don't come in the middle of the field, which is where Jimmy Garoppolo would like to give you the football. They're on the outside. I also think the Cowboys linebacking group, again, while very good at rushing the passer, can be a little bit overly aggressive and fall victim to the Niners running game. Just generally the Niners offense, which is all about eye candy, misdirection. Anyone can run the ball at any time. And I could see Dallas struggling with that. On the other side of the ball, though, Domonique, this should be a mismatch for Dallas.
Right.
Like, we should be saying, wow, Ambry Thomas, Emmanuel Mosley, Dante, like this Niners cornerback group should not be able to hand Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. But we're not saying that because over the last about 6 weeks or so, Dallas has no explosive passing attack. It's disappeared. It's very confusing. And I think that's why this game feels a lot closer than it should be.
Wait, why is that, though? Why? I mean, by the way, you were mentioning names. I was going to say, I have not heard of any of those guys. It sounds like that's understandable now, that I wouldn't know who's playing cornerback for the 49ers.
No, it's been Domonique, you want to try to explain what happened to Dallas's passing attack? It's one of the great mysteries.
Why is your boy struggling, Domonique? That's the question.
Well, my boy is in school right now, and hopefully he's not struggling. I hope that he's paying attention, being respectful of the teachers, and doing his work. But if you're talking about
shout out to you, Declan. Yeah.
If you're talking about Dak Prescott, then I think that it's a combination of a bunch of things. The thing about watching the Cowboys offense is that when it's working, it's magical, but it feels like there's no one thing that you can put your finger on is like, let's address this. Like, it feels like every week it's something different. And Dak certainly falls in that category as being part of the problem at times. And I think that's what makes them so incredibly enticing as an offense and also frustrating, because you're like, You all show the ability to do the thing that you need to do. So do it. And it's not like you brought up Sorensen in the last block. Like, no, like you can't ask Sorensen to cover a slot man-to-man. It seems like you can't even ask him to cover half the field in cover 2. And so when it doesn't work, you're not surprised. But that's the thing with the Cowboys is they have shown an ability to run the ball when they want to, shown ability to destroy teams with quarterback runs and passes and big plays, and also pick you apart all the way down the field. They can do it all. They just don't. And I can't explain it. I think generally when we can't explain it, let's give credit to or blame the coach. When something's happening that we don't understand, we blame the coach. So I'm going with McCarthy and Moore. Get it together.
So
you know what's
Oh,
interesting?
go ahead, Mina. Yeah.
I was gonna say Dak actually during his quote unquote slump, which has really not been a slump, it's been more of a roller coaster, as Domonique suggested. Most of his metrics, statistics are worse in a clean pocket than under pressure, which is very unusual for quarterbacks, and to me might hint at some of the problems with the offense, which is that when he's trying to play in structure, he's not trusting what he's seeing downfield. That could speak to the concepts, that could speak to the wide receivers and some miscommunication there, or it could speak to Dak Prescott being, I don't know, apprehensive or trying to force explosives when they're not available. But something is wrong, and I'll be curious to see if they can get over that in this game, because I feel like if they don't, if he doesn't pass the ball well, they will lose.
Well, there's one more person who I think is even more confusing on the Cowboys to me than Dak Prescott, and that's Trevon Diggs, right? Like, Alabaster threw this card up that points out he is leading the NFL, famously 11 interceptions, Domonique.
Outrageous.
That's more than the Niners have. As a team, they have 9, but he also has given up over 1,000 receiving yards, and all of the nerd stats that I've come to be familiar with have claimed that actually he's one of the worst cornerbacks in the league. And so how do you assess how he has looked this season?
What are the nerd stats that say he's the worst? Because, like, I mean, I feel like the trade-off is one that you would take more times than not, is what it comes down to, in my view. The problem is interceptions are so fickle that he's not going to get 11 interceptions every year. And if he plays the way that he's playing, that 1,000 yards is always going to happen. So, like, I think that you're playing with fire, but they're not getting, while he is getting burned, the team is not getting burned as much as a result of as a result of Trevon Diggs' play, because he going to get an interception. He might score with it. It seems like just about more weeks. Well, not just about, more weeks than not, which is a crazy thing to say for anybody.
My concern in this game is not Trevon Diggs getting toasted on the sideline, because Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't usually make those throws, although he had a nice one to Samuel in the last game. My concern is their tackling in the open field. Like, how many times have we seen Deebo Samuel turn, like a 6-yard slant into a 9-yard touchdown? And that is something that Dallas has struggled with at times all season, is limiting yards after the catch. And again, it's just a bad matchup for them on that side of the ball. I hate to put all of this on Dak Prescott's shoulders, but it feels like there's going to be a high bar for him to score points through the air.
Yeah, everything gets easier if they score early through the air with Dak Prescott. It makes everything easier for the defense, and it makes everything easier for this entire team.
Because you then force Jimmy Garoppolo to try and throw instead of just, turn Deebo Samuel, who has the second most yards after the catch in the NFL. Turning him into just a de facto running back. Alabaster, what do you got?
Nothing that's good candor, but I'm down to move on to more playoff football.
Keep going, man. All these games are great. I'm extremely excited.
Domonique wore his button-down fancy shirt for this and everything. You guys
what are you doing? What else
seriously.
you got going on today, Domonique? Why are you dressed up?
Yeah, I'm dressed up for this because this is not one of those joke shows where we have fun. This is a show about seriousness. Like, I'm here for the seriousness, so I put on a button. I got a coat just in case I need to take it up a serious level. It's right here.
Let's see if Mina gives a take that is so articulate that Domonique feels the need to throw on a jacket.
It doesn't have to be articulate. Just got to be very insightful. Like, you can stumble over it, but if you drop a gem on me, we are getting warm in this basement.
I am not sure that this is going to be the topic for that, but we'll see. This is some serious gasbaggery. Going into Wildcard Weekend, who do you view as more of a favorite to return to the Super Bowl? the Bucs or Chiefs.
The
So we
Chiefs.
just
Great
said
question.
we have
Great
amazing games
So
this
easy.
weekend, and you've created a fake game
Great
because those teams seemingly aren't compelling enough. What are we doing here? Why are we
Great
making the Bucs
question,
and the Chiefs
Alabaster.
play each other before Wildcard Weekend starts?
Alabaster, that was for you,
Oh, that's
not
for
for
me?
any of us.
Oh, this
yeah,
is
yeah. He's asking you why are you stealing from First Take's question list?
know,
He wants to know what's going on.
I don't think Tom Brady versus Jalen Hurts or the corpse of Big Ben Roethlisberger getting blown out
All
by
right,
26 points in
all
a
right, I'm
walking
taking
boot
over
is
this
worth it.
question. I'm taking
Do
over this
it.
question,
Wow.
and I'm producing. The real I think question here is which of these teams is more likely to suffer an upset? Like who? So the Bucs have the Eagles, the Chiefs have the Steelers. Both are heavy favorites. Who's more vulnerable? I think it's clearly Tampa Bay.
Clearly.
For a couple of reasons. One, this is one where I think the weather does matter. Apparently, it's going to be thunderstorming in Tampa. Build another dome there, by the way.
Nice.
And
One sleeve.
we know what the Eagles want to do. They want to run the ball. We know that the Bucs defense used to be the most terrifying run defense in
Used
the
to be.
NFL, but
Oh,
they've
yeah.
struggled as of late with Shaq Barrett injured. I think he's coming back. Levante David's status up in the air. And I believe like that heavy pounding rain will make it easier for the Eagles to play the kind of game they want to play, which is a slappy one. They want to slap it up, throw some water on those steaks, and I think it's going to be a little bit easier than it otherwise would. Domonique?
You pulled it off. Nice job. We go full
Wow.
coat. I almost
Wow.
took a
A
sleeve
full
off, but we're
coat
going
take.
full coat because that take was so great. I'll respect the question because I think Mina did such a good job that she didn't leave any meat on that bone. So I'll respect the question and still say that it's Tampa Bay, in part because of all the reasons Mina said, and because the NFC to me feels like a harder route. Like you got to knock off the
You
top.
mean, so it's the Chiefs. The question was who's more
So
likely.
no,
to
so
get the
Domonique, what happened was that Mina reframed the question such
Right.
that it's the exact same question, but the right
better.
answer becomes the wrong answer.
But better
Right.
is what she did. So
Okay, sorry.
the Chiefs are more likely to return. The Bucs are more likely to not make it because the NFC, if you just look at the 1 seed, like you got to knock off the 1 seed at home.
Right.
Let's
right.
go into Lambeau and beat Aaron Rodgers. That's something that teams have done, but it seems more daunting than going into Tennessee and knocking off good old Ryan Tannehill. And then there's also the 49ers or the Cowboys, which are good teams. The Rams, which like feel like a team that no matter what the record says or what the numbers say, it seems like a team that could be really, really great, even though they don't seem to be living up to it on defense or at the quarterback position. So, yeah, I think given all the injuries, Tampa is in a tough spot because they don't have their defensive pass rushers. They're down a linebacker who's surprisingly more impactful than I'd ever known in Levante David, and a quarterback who's throwing to likely a new bunch of receivers because Mike Evans is not back to full speed even though he's playing, and obviously they're without Godwin.
Yeah.
Bryant,
Antonio
Brown.
Will probably be back. The one thing
Leonard
that I
Fournette.
think
Gronk has like historical back problems that we just sort of like take into account as like just a given at this point. Yeah.
the one thing I think that makes me very reluctant to pick an upset, even though with Tampa, despite all of their injuries, it is the Eagles defensively. We know what they're going to do, right? They're going to, well, at least maybe we don't, but so
what
far
are
this
they going to
season,
do? Because I don't.
they play a pretty conservative, soft zone defense. Their defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, came from Indianapolis. Similar approach.
Eberflus.
I am 36 years old, and
Harry
I think
Potter style.
35 of those years I've seen Tom Brady shred soft zone defenses in the playoffs. Maybe 36 years.
Our
maybe
first
even more
shred
than
of
that.
Wildcard Weekend. Thank you. I was waiting
So
for that.
I feel like Philadelphia has to change something up, despite the rain or whatever, and despite the injuries at skill player on Tampa, because if they do what they do, Tom Brady's going to just work his way up and down the field with ease. So I feel like there has to be a little bit more disguise, a little bit more blitzing. They have to find a way to get pressure up the middle. And otherwise, even if it's raining, I don't care. Tom Brady's still going to win this one.
Tom Brady, unlike the quarterbacks we talked about earlier, pretty good at inclement weather. Like, he's got a pretty good track record. I'm not sure what the record is, but it ain't too shabby. I think he's going to be all right in a little bit of Tampa rain.
Tampa.
Are we giving the
Rays
Steelers
sounds
any chance?
bacterial.
Any chance?
I couldn't hear you. Pablo was talking too loud.
Sorry.
Steelers. Wait, the question
Steelers.
was a question that feels like it doesn't actually need an answer. Do you give the Steelers any chance? I mean,
She was asking you, obviously.
What would have to happen? What would
answer-
have to happen in Steelers Chiefs for the upset to occur? Yet again,
That's
here
the
I am
way. That's the
producing.
way that I approach a lot of questions. It's a good strategy that is like, what are the assumptions, like an investment type of way to look at it? What are the assumptions I have to believe in order to think that this stock is going to go up? And the assumptions I have to believe to consider the Steelers are going to pull off this upset are wild assumptions. Like Ben Roethlisberger is going to hop out of a time machine and go back to a Ben Roethlisberger that can attack down the field. This offensive line is going to learn how to protect and
that's
also
a great
run block. Like these are things. Patrick Mahomes is going to be terrible and turn the ball over a lot. Andy Reid don't got no tricks up his sleeve. These are all the assumptions that I need to accept that I'm just unwilling to accept.
Yeah, can Ben Roethlisberger do steroids before that game?
All right. Jacket's coming off.
It's
Coming
totally realistic that Patrick Mahomes would throw a couple of interceptions though, and early. I mean, obviously it's something that's happened
Mina
a few
saved the
times this
Jacket.
season. I will say T.J. Watt was not healthy the first time these teams played. I forgot that until I went back and looked at my notes, and you could see him wrecking havoc, maybe forcing Mahomes to make some bad decisions. Like you said, Andy Reid might get up to some he might get too cute at the goal line. You know, we could have like the fullback spinning on his head like a turtle in a half shell and getting a shovel pass or something. I don't know why that's where I went, but my point is I could
We
see
just do
this
the whole
at
Ninja Turtles theme
halftime
song now.
Yeah.
being
Heroes in a half
tied
shell.
and everyone
Turtle
being
power.
like, what
Turtle
the hell
power.
just happened? You know, like I could see the Chiefs playing with their food for 2 quarters and suddenly it being weirdly close, even though I expect them to win.
Alabaster, you're
Okay,
interjecting.
so yeah, I'm gonna push a question. I think you guys are nibbling around this point a little bit. Would you still pick the Chiefs over the Steelers, even if Patrick Mahomes didn't play?
No. What?
Who would
Who
be
was
playing
nibbling
quarterback for
around
the
that
Chiefs?
question?
Wait, who's playing quarterback for the Chiefs in this hypothetical?
Chad Henne, right?
Chad Henne.
I want
Yeah, I
to
would
know
take the
who was
Chiefs.
nibbling around that question. That was not.
Well, we talked about if Mahomes throws several interceptions, and
like,
he has to
you know
change his
that-
playbook. Why
that
not
Twitter
Chad
meme?
Henne?
No, I'm with
Like,
you, Alabaster.
Nobody,
I'm with
colon,
you, Alabaster.
absolutely nobody, colon, no one on earth, colon,
Yeah.
Alabaster.
Uh,
Could the Chiefs win this without Patrick Mahomes? No one's asking
was-
that.
You know, that might have been some bad producing, but all in all, this question worked out incredibly well. So pat myself on the back.
Great job,
And now
Mina.
it's time to play a game,
Gotta
guys.
save the
And
question.
that game is Whodunnit.
I don't know how I feel about this. I don't
Yeah.
know how I feel
Oh,
about this,
wow.
Alabaster.
Now
I'm
it's
really
Our first
uncomfortable.
quote. I'm not going to make a comment on who's going to be.
You got to
here
split it
next
down
year.
the middle. You
And
split it down the
who's
middle. You don't
not.
do top and bottom. It's disrespectful.
We need stability at the quarterback position. The years we've had it, we've been pretty good. And we thought we had it until the end of this season. And your choices are A, Nick Caserio, B, Chris Ballard, C, George Patton,
I know
or
Mina
D,
knows.
Chris Greer.
I know. Let's see what Pablo thinks.
There's a dude out there with the name George Patton who is like in a generalistic capacity. That's amazing. No one's making jokes about that but me.
Is
All
it
right.
Peyton or Patton? Every single time I see it, I can't remember the right way to say his name.
Patan.
Anyways,
Battle of the Bulge. I don't know, Mina, what the answer is here, but obviously
Really?
you do.
really? Okay, so Pablo, let me help you out. This quote made me super excited to go on NFL Live. Who do you think it is?
Okay, it's B, Chris Ballard. Final
Nice.
answer.
Yeah.
He also said, I think there's like, we got to get the poison out of the building or something
we get to
vague
hear
and
it?
incredible.
I won't make a comment on who's going to be here next year and who's not going to be here. You've got to get
he
stability.
really looks like Matt
the
Damon
quarterback
in
position.
Stillwater.
We have to have
You know,
stability.
the one
there.
about the
years
dude
we've
who has
gotten
to go
it,
to, like,
we've been pretty good.
Morocco.
And we
His
thought we had it
daughter's
until
in
till the end
prison.
of the season.
He kind of looks like a cross between the perfect central, like midpoint between Matt Damon and Landry from Friday Night Lights, Jesse Plemons.
Yes.
Chris Ballard.
Yes. I agree with
Gosh,
that.
the Matt Damon got me because I wouldn't have thought of that. But then when you said
Really?
it, I couldn't unsee it.
No, because Mina had
But
to add a
like a
little,
little bit
pudge,
more
so she
1950s?
summoned Jesse Plemons. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
A little wax
Yeah.
in the hair.
Okay. Do we think they would actually move on? Because I mean that's what's implied here. That is what this question is nibbling around. So
How could
it
they
would be-
move on realistically?
It would be a $15 million dead cap hit. It would be an incredible.
Look at me and Domonique are on Shark
just-
Tank right now.
the notion of Carson Wentz going from team to team, leaving insane dead money in his wake, is a beautiful one to me. It's truly like some sort of exotic animal that just like leaves a wake of destruction. I like Dominique setting you up to think of one. I like that idea. I don't think they'll move on. I just think it's too much of a cost and it would be too much of an L. And he did play well enough in the beginning of the season, probably for them to justify it relative to the other options out there. But to me, that would be like basically saying out loud, yeah, we're not going to the Super Bowl next year either.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, but for that reason, though, I am out on Carson Wentz.
Oh, man. I was going with the same joke.
That's all I had.
Goodness. Yeah, that's
For
fair.
50% of Carson
I
Wentz, I will offer you $15. No, look, but the question here really, though, is like, if you're Chris Ballard, right, what's your own job security like, right?
Yeah.
Like, how much are you willing to wait it out as opposed to taking another big swing like a year after taking a giant swing?
I think his job is pretty secure. When you look around that team and look around the league, the job that he's done is pretty secure. I don't think he's going to get fired for a decision that seemed like a reasonable one at the time. Like, I don't think it was crazy. I personally was advising against it at the time, but they did not call and ask for my advice because it seems that Chris Ballard doesn't understand something that seems quite clear to me is Carson Wentz is affected by the noise. Like the big moments in the noise.
Wait, Domonique, I want to go half in on this take with you.
Mm-hmm.
We can offer. I'm doing a Shark Tank.
I know.
Thing.
I got
want
you.
to go
I got
half
you.
in with this take with you. Yeah.
I'm not selling any shares right now. Thank you. I don't know what. Let me ask you a question. What can you bring to this take to help make it better? Is the question.
I can bring in a performance of nervousness as I right now don't really know how to end this joke, which feels like what Carson Wentz is like in big moments.
I really like this. So Shark Take. Can we call
Shark
this Shark Take from
Oh,
now on?
That's good.
Did we just come up with a new segment, which is I produce
just
the
did.
take and then I decide which of the investors? That's how Shark Tank works, right? I ultimately get to choose my investor.
Right.
Dominique's already
Dominique
dressed for
seems
it.
a hell of a lot more invested in my take than you do right now, Pablo. So I'm really leaning towards Foxworth Inc.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's an interesting move for Chris Ballard to make doing this press conference to essentially like show no support for Carson Wentz. Maybe Carson Wentz has not played in a way that suggests that he needs support, but it feels like the whole reason why you ended up getting Carson Wentz was because he played poorly at a place where he felt like they were giving him no support. So like getting him, putting a team around him, all that is fine, but organizations, all of them, are staffed by people, which means that you have to understand how to deal with those employees. And the quarterback is a very important employee. So put the game behind us. You lost, you stink. Unless you got somebody ready, you need to come up there and find a way to lift him up. Because it seems like in every big moment in his career so far, when we're questioning him, when we're all over him, when we're watching, with the exception of, I think there was like a late season game against the Cowboys where he played well. Every other time.
We had that one drive against the Cardinals.
Yeah, it feels like every other time.
Like one great throw, yeah.
That was a good one, but that's not one of those big moments to me. Like it doesn't feel like one of those winner in situations, like the winner in Cowboys one. But yeah, so it just feels like
new take, Sharks.
Okay,
I've got a new take that I'd like to pitch to my Sharks. Okay, you keep Carson Wentz, but you somehow find a way to black out nationally all of his games. So there are no big moments.
The reverse blackout. Oh man,
it's a white in actually.
Yeah. Don't they black out the games locally when there aren't enough people there?
Also, nobody can come to the games anymore, so it's a double whammy, except for Dan Orlovsky.
Granted, this take does involve economic suicide.
Yeah, I'm not in on this one. That's a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong
Sharks,
show. That's American Idol.
That's
all right. I'm out on this one, but I wish you the best of luck. I think you're very smart,
Oh,
hardworking.
Can we
I
do
wish you best
this?
of luck, but I'm out. Dude,
What are you doing?
Spin
Oh,
the
you're
chair?
doing like the
What
you're
show
turning
is that?
around on me.
The voice?
Oh.
You're doing
That's
the voice?
hey,
That's
hey,
not shark.
hey, go back to Pablo on the ISO. Let me see. Don't turn around, Pablo. That mold is getting hairy.
Thank you.
Ooh.
I mean, again, sign of health.
That mole got more hair than the top of your head. That's impressive. Nice mole hair.
Yeah.
This is like my other theory, my other great take, which is that the Vikings should go to the NFL and just ask to never be on prime time. And if that happened, they would
good
be in the
take.
Super Bowl. That's a great take. Can I interest you, Sharks, in that take?
That's an awful take. An awful take. Because at some point, the point is to win a Super Bowl. Put aside the fact that the point is to make money, and this is hurting potential amounts or the money that you can potentially make. But the point is to win a Super Bowl, which means that you're going to have to play in the playoffs and the most watched sporting event or television event. Like at some point, you're going to have to
all
play.
of America.
Like that's a
No
regular
prime
season play.
time, Kirk. One seed. That's the proposition.
Ooh.
here.
A better strategy.
Ooh.
Move the team to London so that when you bring him back, his body clock is not on prime time.
This is why we should collab.
Yeah, I like it. Let's box Pablo out and start a new company.
Wow. I just like how that shark ended up wearing a top hat in the lower right
Creating
corner of our screen.
alternate realities for your quarterbacks to optimize their performance.
I love it.
this idea.
That's a great-
Just gaslight Carson Wentz into thinking that, it's
We believe in you.
Tuesday. Yeah.
All right, guys, we have another quote, and this is one that, there's football, but Pablo, being a urology expert, can also,
Not an expert.
give his candor on
We
this
got
one.
a
Very good.
penis question? What is going on?
I've heard that
Oh,
Viagra
God.
can actually make you test positive for PEDs. In order to do that, I would need a prescription. I do not have a prescription, therefore, I will not be trying that as a way to prepare for the cold weather. And your choices are A. Josh Allen, B. Mac Jones, C. Dawson Knox, or D. Bill Belichick.
Obviously, I wish it was Bill Belichick. It would be amazing if it was Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick definitely talks to real urologists, but this is definitely not Bill Belichick.
I do not want to imagine
So-
wherever you're going with this, so moving on. The answer is
It's
Dawson Knox, yes.
Yeah.
Do we
It was
have?
asked
Do we have?
because
I mean, you got to
that would
give
be
credit.
next.
You got to give credit to
We
Bart
gotta
Scott
start-
first. Yeah.
Yes, Bart Scott. Now you get into the Ouroboros. Did I say that word? The snake that eats its tail
Fitting
of
metaphor.
content making. Because we are now responding to a player's response to Bart Scott on our network. But Bart Scott did start this by suggesting that Josh Allen could alleviate some of his struggles in cold weather by taking Viagra, in his word, before the game. He said a lot of NFL players did it. So here's Dawson Knox after being asked about it.
I've heard that Viagra can actually make you test positive for PEDs. So in order to do that, I would need a prescription. So I do not have a prescription. So therefore, I will not be trying that out.
Wait a minute. I had not seen the video before. It feels like Dawson Knox looked into this.
It does. It does.
I mean, another answer would be, I'm not doing that. But that
Or just
answer
surprise.
was like, it turns out that, I would need a prescription. I'm definitely not a person who has one, and therefore I'm not going to do it.
I'd like to dial a former player. Domonique, have you ever heard of this before Bart Scott brought it up?
I mean, it makes sense, but no, I hadn't heard it.
It makes sense is a surprising part of that sentence.
Well, I mean, theoretically,
elaborate.
right? Like Viagra was originally developed as like a cholesterol drug, right? And it was meant to improve circulation, right? So like theoretically, if it opens up the pathways for blood to flow, then it makes sense logically, but I never heard anyone.
Here's why it doesn't make sense. No offense, Bart Scott. I'm sure it actually, well, I'm not sure, but I believe you when you say that some players used it and maybe it worked. Josh Allen's problem is not needing more energy and more excitement and more juice in cold weather. In fact, if you listen to Stephon Diggs, a boy needs a softer touch, not a harder one. And this to me does not seem to be a solution for some of those missiles that he's firing.
Pablo, you won. I never thought I would see the day when you won. You corrupted Mina. This topic was built for you, and Mina stepped in and took all your
lines. I'm just trying to talk X's and O's.
No, lots of X's and O's there. I would say that one issue also is that we have HD now. Like, you know.
Okay.
You don't
Has
want,
anyone pointed out, by the way?
Hey,
has anyone pointed out that Bart Scott said this on the show, Get Up?
Yes.
Oh, man. How did that not occur to me till just now? I'm disappointed in myself, officially.
What does HD stand for in your world, Pablo?
Oh, you know what it stands for.
I've had enough of you already. I'm upset at myself.
Let's just say that the first word is hard and the second word rhymes with bong.
Oh, my gosh. I'm sorry, Mina. I apologize, viewers.
It does feel, by the way, that
family.
This all started like as one football player needing a real like flimsy excuse to tell his wife why he has a bunch of Viagra.
I don't feel
like,
like,
oh, it's a blood flow. It helps me be competitive in the game.
Yeah, I don't feel like
Miami. You're on the Dolphins. That doesn't make any sense.
There, it just hit me. It made sense. I thought you were saying that he needed an excuse for why he had it for his wife, but his wife found it in his bag in your scenario. Right. Like, what are these pills doing here? Gotcha.
Hypothetical rabbit hole.
Yep. Just playing football, honey.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got one more game.
Do we?
Yeah, we got a rousing round of if then, where we'll give you a conditional statement, and you guys fill it out with an answer.
First By the way, Domonique, you don't want to ask me what I think SD stands for, because that's a whole other issue. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. First one, if the Raiders upset the Bengals, then blank.
Then the Raiders will advance to the next round of the playoffs.
Boom!
And, I think Max Crosby has 2 sacks, caused a fumble.
Yeah.
Yannick Ngakoue has caused a fumble also. Like, the answer to this question, I did first take this morning. That's the real answer why I have these stupid clothes. Is because for some reason
the truth comes out. I knew there was no way you dressed up for us.
For some reason, on the artifice of television,
ass excuse.
It is appropriate for me to like do a complete television show in my underwear, but trick them up top. I'm serious.
Trick 'em up top.
So serious up top. Trick them up top, head fake. But yeah, in that conversation, the question was like, how far will the Bengals go? And my knee-jerk reaction is Cigar Joe Burrow can't be stopped. He could go anywhere. But then I settled down and like remembered last year's Super Bowl and remember everything there is I know about football. And if your offensive line is bad, and the Bengals offensive line is bad, and the best thing that you do is throw deep passes to amazing receivers, that ain't gonna work but so many rounds. There's gonna come a time, it may not be this round, but it also might be this round because Raiders have good pass rushers.
They do have a good pass rush. I still hope, though, at least if I was a Bengals fan, I wouldn't want them to turtle up and run the ball the way they did the last time these teams played. Like, Joe Burrow is going to get sacked. You live with that for the deep balls because if he's able to throw those 9 balls to Jamar Chase, one of them's going to hit for a touchdown. In fact, against the Chiefs, I don't know if it was the 3rd and 27 or one of the 20 go balls he threw to Jamar Chase, but I think one of them was out in like 2.07 seconds. Like, Joe Burrow has been exceptional not only at evading pass rushers and using his legs to extend plays, but also getting the ball out quick and not just on checkdowns, like getting the ball out quick to Jamar Chase in space. So I lean Bengals in this one because even though I think there is a mismatch between the Bengals offensive line and the Raiders pass rush, Joe Burrow is playing so well right now.
That was rigorous analysis, Domonique. Can I just sneak my take in here? Because I believe personally that if the Raiders do upset the Bengals, then we should add another X to Max's name. Like Max Crosby already has 2 X's in the name Max, which we need to talk about more. Like, if he gets this scalp, that should be, yes, a triple X branding.
What about,
move.
Forget the triple X, maybe every time the Raiders win a postseason game, he adds another X, like how Big Ten players put stickers on their helmet,
Yes, the Ohio State approach to naming yourself.
So if they make it to the Super Bowl, he's Max XXXXXX
How do
Crosby.
what was the motivation for the naming there? Is this a family
I've read
name?
about this.
Is
It's a
there's
very
something
good
behind it?
question.
Why you add a second X? I don't know. I
Do
mean,
you guys know anyone else who like Alex
In
with
the
2
NFL,
X's?
there's another player in the NFL with 2 X's.
Who?
Oh wait, okay. So there
I
is a
mean-
reason. This is good. This is good stuff.
Please
Okay.
don't be like a tragic
Oh wow, this
family
is a
story.
great reason.
okay.
So his mom had originally wanted him to be just regular Max, but then when he was born, he weighed 11 pounds and 9 ounces.
Oh,
So she
great
gave
job.
him an extra X.
Oh,
That is
phenomenal.
incredible. Shout out to Max
Phenomenal.
Krasy's mom. I love
Yeah.
that.
That's a great
Whoa!
explanation.
He was so big that doctors had to break his clavicle just to get him out.
Wow.
Wow.
That's terrifying. Thank
That
God
is
I'm a man.
that is one metal origin story.
Let's talk about how tough his mom is though, because normally it's the mom who leaves with some sort of
very good
injury,
reminder.
might have to get stitched up, but she was like, "Nah, dog, I'ma snap that thing. I'ma snap that thing. You get on out of here. Give me that clavicle." Waka.
I was about to reenact it. What am I doing? No, this is
Max's mom is the
Snap
the real MVP.
Damn.
She's a comeback player of the year.
Snap that baby's clavicle to
Hey.
get him out of there.
Yeah.
That's how you entered
Okay,
the world.
guys, 11 pounds 9 ounce is an enormous baby. I say that as a 9-pounder, 9 pound 1 ounce, which is fairly big for my size.
Mina with an extra A, maybe. Maybe some men could have considered that.
I can't imagine how. Never mind. We see it. We see it with the spin move. We know what it felt like.
Oh, my God. I don't know how much I weighed when I was born. I don't know what time I was born. I do know that, like Max, I have a semi-common name that is misspelled.
That's
So,
true.
like, no one spells Domonique the way I spell Domonique, just like nobody spells Max like that unless they're trying to be suggestive in some way. Like, I don't understand it.
My favorite alternate theory would have been his mom saying, "We already had a kid named Max with 1 X."
That's a good one. I
What
like
a power move over your own brother
that.
to just
It's like the
Max
George
with 2
Foreman
X's.
family. Everybody's
Yes.
named George.
Yes.
Everyone's
yeah.
named George. Dominique, how mad are you when people do, like, inevitably, and this happens all the time. I'm on emails where you get your name misspelled. How much does it bother you at this point?
Nah, it doesn't really bother me. Like, and they don't have bad intentions. Like, I also don't like the nickname Dom, but people call me Dom all the time,
I
and it's
know.
just like, I don't know. It's not that I have a problem with the name Dom. It's that no one called me Dom until I retired from the NFL, and I guess maybe that's when I finally became a Dom. Like, prior to that, everyone called me Neek or Fox or something much cooler than Dom, and then I get out of the league and they're like Dom. I'm like, who the hell is Dom? Like, Dom sounds pudgy and like, I don't know.
Pablo, no jokes about Doms, please.
Fox
Mina.
is incredible for our industry. I saw
I
your
had a
eyebrows
sub
go
joke
up when
right there.
you said the
I had a
words, I
sub
became a
joke
Dom.
right there.
Yeah, so Fox is so good for our industry though because it lends itself to so many like cute segment names. You could do a podcast title. We could change the name of this
What
show
does
to
the fox
Fox and
say?
Friends, which has never been used by anyone ever and would be totally original
Yep.
and not offensive.
Good idea.
that's a good one.
Outfoxed.
I mean,
Foxy
Neek works
Maxing?
too. Like, we do unique perspective on, like, Dom is the only one that all the wordplay you can do is problematic. Like, it's
Well, problematic if you have a very narrow view of what is okay and not okay in a world of completely consensual behavior.
Yeah, I mean, but-
then it would be problematic.
yes, that is the problem. We live in this Puritan
Guys, I've been watching
country.
Euphoria, so I'm really enlightened.
Euphoria does not enlighten people. What?
Yeah, it enlightens me into never wanting to be around
for
teenagers,
yourself.
like
Yeah.
ever. Like if I see now, because I watch Euphoria, if I see a group of teens at a CVS, I will
scared.
run in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I
I don't
lecture
know what's
them.
gonna happen, but I don't want to be around it.
I give them a quick lecture and then I run because I'm scared. Say no to drugs, kids.
Be safe.
Don't share needles.
There's hope for you.
Look at the sign. Podcast listeners, Alabaster changed the sign to say Pablo Dom Mina. Disrespectful.
Wow, that's what he was doing. He hasn't spoken in like minutes, and he comes back with the card.
It's a low upside proposition for me to contribute to this conversation at this point. But we can move on to our final sports topic, which is if the Warriors get smacked by the Bulls tonight, then blank.
Ooh,
They're worse than the Nets.
The Warriors get
Nothing. Then nothing. You know the answer.
tonight,
Then nothing.
then blank.
Draymond's not playing. Clay's just coming back.
Oh.
It's the middle of an 82 game NBA season. Y'all know the answer. You can try to make some stakes, and I've actually started watching more basketball recently. I enjoyed the Wolves game last night because
Anthony Edwards dropping like 40 something. Yeah,
Ja's outstanding, and that team is outstanding, honestly. But you know the answer. A mid-season game for an injured team. Draymond is healthy or unhealthy.
Pablo, I cannot believe how important Draymond Green is to this team. Can you educate us on are you as surprised as how he's 36, 37?
He's like roughly our age. Yes. So look, what's happening with the Warriors, I'm glad Mina brought that up because the popular internet theory is that ever since there was a certain theory released about Steph Curry and his union that he has been slumping. And I reject that. Slanderous.
Shouldn't even brought it up. You're a monster.
Slanderous. But the real reason I do think is Draymond Green. When Draymond is, look, so you may know Draymond as like the irascible guy who will kick people in the junk. The guy who's really good at defense, but he also is the guy who makes the entire offense run. Like Steph Curry, keep in mind, we call him a point guard because positionally he is that, but Draymond's really the guy, he's the fulcrum of the entire offense. Like he is offensively as smart as anybody else in the league, I would say. And it's because he plays a position where he makes decisions. And when he is not there, you have this version of Steph Curry, who is admittedly slumping. And by the way, Domonique, it may result in nothing in terms of the long-term basketball sort of results of this. But in terms of the underdog story of Steph Curry, I guarantee you that we're going to get that. We're going to get that in the second half if this is going to go in this way. Alabaster, do you disagree?
Well, no, I just love that you Steve Buscemi skateboard meme Draymond Green, who's 31 years old.
Really? 31? Oh,
I feel like he's been in the NBA so long.
Yeah.
I thought he was our age.
Wow, the Robert Quinn effect for Draymond Green.
Yeah,
that blows my mind.
Been in big games for so long that it feels,
We
Also,
pitbulled him.
He does TV while he's in the NBA, which instantly makes you seem older. Like if you're in a league and you're also on TV, I assume you're nearing retirement and getting ready for your next job. But 31, he can keep playing.
Well, yes, but also part of the whole perception of Draymond is that he shoots jumpers like he's wearing a backpack.
Yeah.
He kind of has very old mechanics, even as he is only 31 years old. Yeah.
Did
It's
Draymond
incredible.
spend 4 years at Michigan State? I assume so, just because
That also may contribute to me feeling that. Same thing with Hunter Renfrow, because he was in college so long. It's a big part of the reason why I assume he's 45.
And he has
in the hairline.
I can't get into that.
Horseshoe.
But the Draymond Green shooting looks like he's wearing a backpack. Who was the originator of that analogy? They should give themselves a pat on the back, because sometimes somebody will hit something so perfect that instantly, we will never top this in terms of describing the way an athlete looks. It's I don't know who originated this either, and I feel bad, but somebody tweeted a few years ago, Patrick Mahomes, when he runs, looks like he's holding a beer and trying not to drop it. And once I saw that, I realized I will never improve upon this. That's how I feel about the Draymond Green comparison.
Oh, man. I work with Pablo regularly, so I have that feeling all the time because he just nails them. He's outstanding.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I thought you
4
meant
years.
working with him is like wearing a backpack and shooting, because that also I feel like.
Wow.
Not today, actually. You've been carrying him today. I normally have to be the one because you're normally disgusted by him at this point, but Pablo's been throwing some mess out there, and you've been picking it up.
Throwing
and
it down, man. Absolutely.
Well done.
Great two-man weave you've been running as Domonique.
Yeah, I stand off on the side and heckle.
Domonique looks like the attorney that we've hired to get us out of jail.
It's a great joke. Great joke.
Alabaster.
We just have one bonus topic to go to today. It's actually one from yesterday, but it was posted about a minute after the show, so I thought it deserved some shine. And it's from Amani Heron, who tweeted out a Pablo bingo board which is your choices are repeats phrase from the top of the show, mentions Harvard, makes it about himself, a fellow Filipino, free space, hits magic, rolls on the bed, Ben Simmons, and Titans.
Wow.
Where's urology?
Titans. Yeah. Not enough dicks on that. Yeah, I agree.
You want that to be brand, buddy? You proud of that?
Just bad. Just
know.
bad. Thank you for giving us that
Hold
countdown.
on, hold on.
Oh, we skipped. I thought you skipped from
Are we
10
gonna
to
get a
6.
bedroll?
Please hurry up. Oh my God.
Oh, don't wear shoes on your bed, man.
They're slippers.
They look like shoes. Well, have a great weekend, Mina. Enjoy your games. I'm sure we'll talk at some point this weekend.
Bills or Pats? Who you got?
Bills.
Oh, that is a slipper. It's probably still filthy.
They look like they stink.
Yeah, I wouldn't be proud of that.
Goodbye, everyone.
Oh, get it out of your face.
That was great.
Subscribe and download wherever you get your pods.
Oh yeah, we're a podcast now. We're a podcast.
Bye.